Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coaches around the world, welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets with the king himself, the king of the West, King Karl Bryan.
Yo, road dog.
Salty friend.
What's happening, bud?
A lot is happening, but because I'm reading your jokes from last week, and I like to start every podcast with some of your lowlights, I guess we could say, because I don't know how some of the stuff is funny. Wifey joined the gym 6 months ago and still no progress. She's going there in person tomorrow to find out what's really going on.
She did not like that, but
this one here, when I watch someone's underwater part in a movie, I hold my breath to see how I would be in the same conditions. Watching Finding Nemo was a tough couple of hours for me. It's good stuff.
It's good for you to remind me of the stuff, Shades.
As we watch, be it big sporting events, Olympics, stuff like that, I'm not sure if we were discussing this, they should seriously throw out an average Joe just in the mix, right? Just nice. So it's for all the couch potatoes, all the Monday morning quarterbacks. You imagine long
context. Yeah, absolutely. Right? Oh my God, yes, that would be hilarious. Just dad bod, boom, doing this, whatever the slalom ski race, end up possibly with a broken leg by the end of it. But that would be hilarious for context shoots. I'd be all about that.
Hilarious because even you're a pretty good skier, right? But you would look like an absolute clown out there compared to
oh yeah. Yes, I would. My dad bod and I cruising down the slope chutes.
Just like the mountain biking, as I recall that one picture you sent me of you, the mountain bike, and your helmet all laying on the side of the path.
That was nearly very bad result. But anyways.
All right.
It's all good, man. Let's
fanatic. Hey, listen, first question that just came in is, how tall are you?
That came in. I'm 5'6". Road Dog would make me out to be 4'11".
Live over the feed. So I just wanted to 5'6". Okay, that's interesting. I didn't realize you're. Anyways, I'm gonna leave the short jokes out of this right now. Just because I'm feeling salty today as well. Just so you're aware. All right, let's get into it, folks. We got some good questions here. The first question just simply reads, can you give me some good ideas around cross-sells? So obviously, Karl, as we know, there's the upsell, the downsell. Those are probably more the ones that people go to. Cross-sells are probably fairly, would you say they're more overlooked than the others?
I would. And the question is, ideas around examples of cross-sell? Some ideas around.
I just think it's a great question because I think everybody obviously always talks about, hey, what's an upsell? What's a downsell? But I think the cross-sell is really overlooked. So I thought this would be a great question to kind of kick us off of. Give us some good ideas around cross-sells.
Okay. Well, good ideas around that. I tell you, an upsell wrote a blog/email about this some time ago. An upsell 21 times more profitable than a cross-sell, but most mix it up. And that's frankly part of why Profit Acceleration software has 497 million weighted algorithmic sequences to help you avoid these types of fundamental mistakes. So cross-sell. So the most famous is obviously, do you want fries with that? Most people mistakenly refer to that as an upsell, but it's actually a cross-sell. Made McDonald's about $1 billion, I don't know what it is, but $1 billion of annual profit. So probably worth understanding. And 95% predictability, your new coaching client doesn't have a cross-sell in place. So this is probably, I'd be doing a little bit of homework on this if you're not completely familiar. And that's okay. Again, if you're not completely familiar, don't feel like, just because do you want fries with that is very common. Go do your homework. You'll get better at it. You'll be bad at it when you start. You'll get a little bit better, and then you end up being excellent with some consistency and compounding type effort. I think Amazon attributes, I don't know what it is, but it's like 30% of its sales to cross-selling, right? So again, like, how do they do that? When you go and buy a book, let's say, Think and Grow Rich, what they'll have is they'll immediately have, when you buy that book, the algorithm will spit out what books were commonly, in the same category, and books that were commonly bought with Think and Grow Rich. You're going to have, I don't know what it is, but 5 to 10 books down below. So that's how they do it. So again, McDonald's, Amazon, a couple of successful companies doing it. Your coaching client should, and like I said, with about 95% predictability, they're not. And as a frame, what I want you to be thinking about is what do people buy before, during, and after they purchase from your coaching client, right? Like that's how you'll get. So if you're wondering, well, how do I come up with the right cross sell? You just before, during, and after, right? So like if they own a flower shop, do you want a vase with that? If they sell like a phone, I guess it could be, do you want a protective case? If your client has a law office, they're a lawyer, do you want a will with that? I don't know, something like, something digital. Do you want a memory card with that? Think of like, digital camera. I don't know, it'd be, fancy digital camera, your photographer, what have you. If your client sells a printer, do you want ink cartridges with that? I had a bit of a challenge with an ink cartridge yesterday, which I'm thinking of the Shaquille O'Neal commercial, right, where he's solving that problem. And I'm thinking about Shaquille O'Neal as yesterday, and then today as I'm saying that. God, sign me up. But anyway, so, a sporty vehicle. Do you want a roof rack with that, right? You're talking about mountain biking, maybe kite surfing, whatever it might be. IKEA, they're going to sell you pillows and a throw rug with your couch. I used to have a hockey rink, like say I sold a pair of skates. Well, I would send you, I would sell you extra laces and socks, proper hockey socks as a cross-sell suit. A belt, tie, and shoes would probably go pretty handy. So the list goes on and on. Can be done with every one of your new coaching clients, but stop allowing them to be obsessed with driving more traffic, more sales, more revenues, trying to get to $1 million as a framework, right? You got to be doing these basic kind of activities. You be significantly, working with it's always the fundamentals, right? The best, Tom Brady, my boy, right? He falls into a slump. He's going to the fundamentals, right? Barry Bonds back in the day, Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, they're pounding the ball and juiced up like nothing else. Doesn't matter. They don't go do more steroids when they fall into a slump. They go into the batting room and they go to the fundamentals. What are the fundamentals? Go to the fundamentals with your coaching clients. And this is where there's a lot of magic there. And again, high profitable activities is what you're looking for, and upsells or cross-sells, absolutely have that. So, and by the way, Road Dog, if done properly with those examples and just let your mind wander, you could absolutely pay for your high-end coaching fees. For 12, say you're $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year, you'd cover that easily, right there. So I don't know, Road Dog, what do you think? That's cross-sell, lots of opportunities. What do you do before, during, and after?
So you're on a bit of a roll here, right? So obviously you're getting everybody's juices flowing and probably thinking right now, well, what else? Give me some examples of upsells then.
Oh no, yeah, good point. Okay, so should have done that, Road Dog. Well done. Do you want me to supersize that? That would be your templated McDonald's. Upselling. I think there's semi-famous case study out there. Dollar Shave Club basically turned it into a multi-billion-dollar online unicorn. Basically just, upselling. If your new coaching client does deliveries, do you want it the next day or do you want it guaranteed before noon? Maybe they're, again, whatever they're delivering, they're selling handbags and that type of stuff. Do you want a slightly larger version of the same bag for X, Y, X amount more? They own a flower shop. Do you want long stem roses with that? Your client sells 1 year warranties. Do you want to, or has a 1 year warranty? Do you want a special 3 year extended warranty? Right. You've seen that with computers all the time and TVs and whatnot. TV, do you want to get a 72-inch screen, right, for X amount more when they were buying the, 56 or whatever the size is? Your client sells picture. Do you want oak rather than our normal wood framing for X amount more? Client owns a bar. Do you want a double with that? Do you want a double shot? They order rum and Coke. Do you want a double? And again, they have a warranty. You do an extended warranty. Like Tesla, they do that with extra range, so you get a bigger battery with your car and it's an upsell right there on the website. Like a phone company gives you more downloadable space. Like I did that with my phone recently, got X amount of photos, X amount of videos, and I had to upgrade my space, right? Hotel, if you've been traveling, it's a bigger room or it's a kitchen, it's a kitchen, or maybe it's a view, maybe it's ocean front, depending upon where you're at. Maybe an airline, again, a couple of days ago, doing some traveling. And, it's like, do you want a bigger carry-on? Do you want to be able to take a third bag? Do you want first class? Do you want business class? Just let the mind wander. And again, you get there, Road Dog, the same way. Like, what do you buy before, during, and after? And every one of your clients can create an upsell or any other. And this is one of the sections, by the way, of, profit acceleration software. So you could go there and there with 100% certainty, you'll be able to create other, profitable, not just revenue opportunities, but profitable opportunities for your clients. And by the way, if your client does have a website, they might want to, they can basically do upselling and cross-selling on the product page, the checkout page, and the thank you page. So what do you think, Road Dog? That's what I think, Shoots. That's what I think.
Yeah, well, just from a digital, how's your email going there? Just from a digital marketer, hey, look, somebody's bought an upsell from you. There you go, Shoots. So just from a digital marketer's perspective, the one thing I think that is actually kind of important to talk about here, just for a real quick side note, is I think people get too attached almost to making those sales. You got to realize that you got to ask. It's amazing how many people are too scared to ask.
Yeah,
and at the same
100%.
time, you just know that there's going to be a smaller percentage that is going to buy that. But you'll know your numbers, right? Then you can tweak it. Maybe that's not the right offer, right? If no one's buying it, well, then maybe you've got the upsell wrong. Maybe there's something else you need to think about. Maybe there's a bonus you can add on or whatever.
Yeah. Road Dog, good point. It's this is why, okay, so for your coaching client, if you want to create an upsell, cross-sell, and do it effectively, you got to kind of start with psychology. You've got these limiting beliefs. They don't want to come across as that slimy sales guy, blah, 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 always pushing. And then they get to know, so do you want fries with that? They say that 33% of the people that are offered that say yes. And it put $1 billion of profit into McDonald's a year, right? So again, 70, it's a bit like, the professional baseball player who's hitting 300 ends up in the Hall of Fame. He misses 7 times out of 10, right? And he makes the Hall of Fame. Your upsell does not need to hit it. It'd be better if you get higher conversions, clearly. But, do you want fries with that? Don't think that everybody, they don't all take, not everybody's saying yes. It's a 33% conversion on that. And that's pretty damn good. So you got to start with psychology. The client gets a few no's, and in their head, they start thinking that they're doing the wrong thing. And actually, as an aside, Road Dog, when people are talking about bonuses, you'll see if you ever buy anything online, you're going to see bonus. A hack is that make the bonus, and do this with your coaching clients or do this with your own company, make the bonus what would happen if they were highly successful. Okay, make the bonus what would happen once they have success with the product that they bought. It's a little bit of a hack. So there's a psychology Jedi mind trick there. They start seeing themselves towards success, and your conversions on your initial offer will go up. So there you go. That's what I got.
Give me an example there, Carl. Like when you say that, like, so you're saying the bonus is tied to something that would happen if they have success.
A business, nice one. So a business coach could do recruitment and training of staff. Okay, so as we're working together, your business is going to grow. What's a byproduct of that? It's that you're going to have to hire people and fill some gaps. So I offer you as a bonus, if you buy my coaching, and it's going to be $3,000 a month, $36,000 a year, at the 3-month marker, once we hit an X established milestone, I'm going to bring you in to my quarterly event where I teach you how to recruit and train staff at the highest level to create a culture in your company that's similar to what Amazon, Uber, and Netflix have. Something like that.
I like that. Because you could even, I'm just thinking of positioning statements already, right? I'm looking at this one. Listen, the average person that attended this event, their average order value increased by X, right? Their sales increased by X, their referrals increased by X. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, geez, I might just buy this because of the bonus.
Yep.
So
that if your bonus is done properly, that is exactly what happens. Like if you go and, like Frank Kern as an example, we'll give him as a super successful digital marketer. His bonuses are worth more. If you add up the value in the bonuses, they're significantly more than what you'd actually buy for whatever the product is. So absolutely. Nice one.
Love it. Okay, next question came in. This is more about disruption. So I'm curious what you have to say about this, because I've seen you be a bit of a disruptor, more so at the bar than anywhere else. But like, what is your take on disruptive innovation and ways to help your client disrupt their industry? That was the question there. So what's your take on all that? Because it's like, there's all this talk of, well, you've got to be a disruptor and you got to disrupt the industry and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What's your take on being disruptive, in innovation and within an industry?
Okay. Before I answer, I could recall disrupting a couple nightly establishments with you, my man.
No, listen, your dance moves are epic. The best part about your dance moves is you don't even need a partner. Like, it's a chair, anything will do. It's perfect.
There we go. Okay, so I'm sorry, I got up. So just read me the question again, please. Disruptive innovation. Sorry.
He was thinking about the chair, folks. It was disrupting him. What is your take on disruptive innovation and ways to help your client disrupt their industry?
Nice. Okay. I mean, gosh, as you know, Road Dog, I think about this a lot. I mean, I'm trying, to disrupt the business coaching industry. We invented software for business coaches, profit acceleration software. I'm going to continue to innovate and disrupt till the end of time. So this is a little bit of a framework, and frankly, it's fun in how I stay so passionate about what we're doing. Close to 2 decades into my little business coaching career. What you'll see is that here's an interesting one. It's insanely rare for an existing, I call it Goliath, to disrupt an industry. It's almost always a new player, right? So Airbnb came from nowhere to disrupt hotels. It was a couple of guys trying to go to a baseball game or something in a city where they couldn't afford, and they put down an air mattress, right? Uber came from nowhere to disrupt the taxi industry. They weren't yellow cabs that disrupted it, right? Amazon disrupted retail, and it wasn't the industry whale at the time, and still, I guess, Walmart. Apple, not IBM, created the home computer, and Netflix. You probably know the story of this, but Netflix was offered to Blockbuster for, I can't remember what the number was, but it was not a huge number by any stretch of the imagination. Blockbuster could have wrote a check very easily. So it was Netflix that disrupted movie rentals. And I dare say that if Blockbuster did buy Netflix, TV the way that we know it with Amazon Prime Netflix wouldn't be the way it is. Disney wouldn't be, the Disney Channel wouldn't be happening yet. So a good question, I think, is why is that, right? Why don't the industry leaders ever make the game-changing / disruptive technology? Right? You never see it as a framework. If that's the case, it's a message of caution for the existing industry leaders. It may be a warning, and then seen as exciting times for the folks getting up off the ground, as in your coaching clients. What I'm trying to say here, wanting to really make a dent and be this next disruptor, albeit on a smaller local kind of scale, right? Like, let's not pretend like your coaching chiropractor or your coaching client, like the chiropractor, the landscaper, the roofer, the butcher, the baker, candlestick maker are going to be the next Apple, Uber, or Netflix, right? Because you got to be realistically, but maybe BNI could be seen as the industry leader in networking, which I dare say that they are. Okay, well, your client could go and disrupt that, right? BNI is not going to go and disrupt networking, right? Their model is way too established. They're the airplane at 10,000 feet, well and truly. They're not going to get out of the airplane and start making adjustments, right? So as a frame, think of disruption as innovation. And there are two types of innovation. So there's maintenance, okay, which is making the existing better. And then there's disruptive, right? So let's go maintenance innovation. Improving an existing product, improving an existing service. And I dare say that this is mostly going to be done by a feedback from clients that are currently using it, right? So think of improve it. You're going to make it, what would you do? You'd make it faster. You make it better. You make it lighter. You make it stronger, more powerful. Remove existing faults for sure, right? But that's kind of how maintenance innovation. You're just making it better. Probably pretty straightforward, right? But then disruptive innovation, which is what we're kind of talking about here, like the Uber, Airbnb, Netflix, what have you. Here's the kicker, Road Dog, right? If you disrupt an existing industry, you are guaranteed to have a lower performance in key areas that are currently valued by the existing clients, right? So therefore, the key players won't go. So this is why the key players, the existing whales, won't go down the track. Because why would they want to create something that offers a lower level of performance, right? Kind of goes against everything a successful company has become. That's how they got to where they're at, right? So an example could be like when Netflix came out. I want you to think of it. It was it seems like a long time ago, but it was not that long ago. They had very limited number of shows. Many of the most popular ones were not available, right? There were connection issues. So you'd be watching your show and then magically it would disappear halfway through. You can imagine, pretty disappointing, right? There were not those issues on the videos getting rented from Blockbuster, not even close. It was an established whatever, model, and they just weren't interested in suddenly having these issues, and that's totally understandable, right? So maintenance innovation satisfies maintenance innovation satisfies clients' current wants and desires, whereas disruptive technology, the disruptor will meet clients' future needs, like not having to get into the car and go to Blockbuster, right? So therefore, the big companies follow a predictable path of maintenance innovation is the way that it's been, right? They're making life better. But ultimately, like in the case of Blockbuster, which I think is I literally watched a movie about it. It's a while ago now, but there's a movie about, basically Blockbuster falling over on Netflix, right? So this approach will lead to its failure. And that's Netflix 101, right? So, and if you start looking for examples of this, you're going to see them everywhere, where again, the existing player, it's not about complacent. They just stayed in maintenance innovation and never went to disruption maintenance or just disruptive innovation, right? So existing successful companies should, I think, take caution and so that the solution, if that's the problem, what's the solution? They should take a percentage of the company's revenues and resources, human capital, right? As in people and their focus and their time and energy, and place it in unproven opportunities that would fall into a category disruptive innovation, right? Like Facebook is doing that right now with metaverse. Very rare for a huge public company. And look at everybody's metaverse. They just lost Meta just lost an unbelievable amount of value, and everybody's talking about how, Zuckerberg lost, 100 billion of his net worth or whatever. If you think he gives a rat's backside, you'd be crazy. And by the way, it might be a play, and there's no guarantee that it's going to come off, right? I would dare say that it would. I think Zuck's the kind of guy that he's, a bit of a force to be reckoned with. Love him or hate him, it's completely irrelevant, right? But he is looking at disrupting it, so it takes a step backwards to take many forwards in the future. I don't think that he thought that it was just going to take off immediately when he started creating these virtual worlds. You may or may not understand Meta, but that's, it's, you might want to look into it. But going in a very different direction. He's effectively, disrupting his own space. Elon, the alien trying to get home, that same thing. He's gone and disrupted things at a very, very high level, but he's ruthless about how he does it. The Google boys are also like that. They actually pay, like they tell their staff, I can't remember what it is, but they take 20% of their time, and certainly the software engineers and whatnot, and put it into disruptive technology, like working on projects that they're passionate about, and many get adopted. Probably 80% of them, just kind of die with that individual, but at least they get to spend 20% of their time using their creative juices. And that adds to, the culture of the company and, job satisfaction, the right way of saying it. So anyway, and like, remember we've talked about this different times in the past, Road Dog, but like the iPhone didn't crush the BlackBerry. The App Store displaced the BlackBerry. You were not addicted to your iPhone, or you didn't get addicted to your iPhone. You got addicted to the apps. The iPhone was actually a significantly lower user experience, right? Because there's nothing like the damn keyboard of BlackBerry. You probably still miss it if you really think about it as I talk about it. But so the iPhone was actually a lower user experience for its function, but it's the apps that got you: the weather, the stocks, Evernote, the Facebook app that you can just poke. Gmail is an app, etc. Right? So again, make no mistake about it, Steve Jobs is using a disruptive innovation approach here, not maintenance, right? So, Wikipedia made encyclopedias extinct. Far inferior content when they first came out, grew over time, and now nobody's got encyclopedias anymore. It literally died, right? One of the things to think about too, disruptive innovation is a direction you or your client want to go. You should start in a niche market versus the whole company offering, right? So you don't want to send your coaching client into harm's way. Like they own a networking group, don't necessarily shut the whole thing down and go, everything's disruptive. If they've got it, we're going to assume that they've already got a going concern. They've got revenues, they've got staff, they've got a model, they've got something that's working. Don't put them in harm's way. So what you do, when you think about taking a percentage, it's like asset when you're investing. And if you do invest, and you should invest, if you don't invest, you're nuts. Every month you should be taking a portion of what you earn and put it towards investing. Don't use what's left at the end of the month. Use it at the beginning. Make it like a cost of doing business, a cost of, it's just like every month you should be taking a percentage of your income and putting it towards investing, right? But you should understand asset allocation. And if Tyson and Michael Jackson understood asset allocation, or they followed asset education, they wouldn't in a million years have it's not that they couldn't have got into financial trouble, right? But asset allocation for another day. It's just that I don't want you to be sending your high-end coaching client into harm's way, right? So bottom line, let's say that your coaching client is an accountant and they like the idea of adopting something like a live app style accounting into the practice, rather than going to all 400, all 4,000 of their clients, whatever the number is, think about implementing it, for a niche. Like let's say local, they've got lots of construction companies and they live in an area that's very, lots of construction going on. So they've got say 50, 75, 100 clients that are construction companies. Go specifically to that niche and think of decentralization. Hire somebody, put them in charge of it. They oversee it. They do the construction companies. They do the live accounting and the app style accounting with those guys, but only go to a smaller, go to a small percentage of them. Because remember, it will have a lower quality functionality when they first get going. It's got a significantly higher upside and the chance to completely, disrupt the local industry, maybe the national industry, maybe the global industry, but don't assume 25% or less of your company's, clients' offerings or, just, you know what I mean? Revenues versus do the whole lot. I think that's where you could get into trouble. And again, thinking, I don't know, asset allocation is the right metaphor, but you should understand asset allocation, and I would use that as a frame. So don't go to all of them, but there you go. So the word of warning is that your existing client can fail as a result of only staying in improvement. Somebody's going to come along and turn them upside down. And that could be a massive opportunity for some coaching clients. And as I say that, disruptive innovation and Netflix and Uber, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so far and beyond where my local chiropractor's at. And I would challenge that, on a local scale. Like we went and created software for business coaches. We didn't stop everything we were doing and only, put all our eggs into a basket. We were already a plane, with hundreds of clients and, many, many countries. And, and slowly, and now every one of our clients, nobody will work with us and not use the software. So what do you think, Road Dog? But that's what I love the question. I agree. It's something that coaches should be. And it's like, are they going to do it with every one of their clients? No. But to not understand that that's where disruption lives. And then if they do go and just, do anything that would resemble disruption, that they're going to have to accept that they'll take a step backwards to take many forwards with their client. And it's always psychology. So you got to help your client through that. So what do you think, Shoots? Does that work?
Well, so first off, you made the comment about investing and doing that first. One of my favorite sayings of all time in financial planning has always been, if you don't do that, there's typically too much month at the end of the money. Right?
This is it. Yep. Avoid that.
But it's funny because as you're talking, I'm Googling, because there's all these rumors of the Tesla phone coming out, right? And Elon came out and he's like, yeah, no. It's like he's not looking to build a better mousetrap. He's looking at Neuralink. He's looking at how do we use the brain in better ways and then in integrating it with science. So what came to me is, for you, let's use LPW and let's go not like Elon Musk style here. Let's go Karl Bryan style, right? So it's like, when it would have been real easy for you to be like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to create better websites for coaches.
Yeah.
Like that's not a disruption.
Exactly.
That's just building a different mousetrap, a better mousetrap.
Yep.
You're like, no. What's going to make it easier, better? What's the actual need? I don't think anyone's looking to quote unquote disrupt. They're just looking to make things better and easier. And I think
because they don't understand, exactly, because they don't have a frame. So they go to this, they're not even going to disruption. What they're going to is improvement. Right. And it's like Elon Musk. We've talked about this a while ago now, but like first principles, right? So like, if you don't understand the first principles, you're not going to be able to disrupt, right? So the first principles of football is the rule book. The first principles of hockey is the rule book. So Bill Belichick knows the rule book better than probably all of the other coaches in the NFL combined, right? Well, that's why I see what Bill Belichick does is he invents plays, and then a lot of the other coaches take Bill Belichick's plays and then improve them, right? Well, they're in maintenance innovation, and he's creating plays. He's disrupting. And by the way, when he comes up with a new play, often it doesn't work as well as the other one, but then he gets a little bit better and he makes some adjustments. And next thing you know, that's why he's Bill Belichick. But that first principle, so you don't want to stay in the game of improvement. You're exactly right, Road Dog. You're a coaching client without meeting them. They don't even understand that when thinking about it, there's the disruptive path and then there's the maintenance path, and they spend 100% of their time in, maintenance innovation. And they've got to realize that disruptive innovation, they got to understand it as an example and as a first principle. And a first principle is that they will take a step backwards to take many forwards, the way that Netflix had a really bad selection of videos and a lot, internet connections got disrupted and it didn't work as well. The iPhone, when it came out, it did not work as well as the BlackBerry and worked out pretty well in the end. Right. So yeah, Building better websites is just, and it's not that it's lame. It should be. And should you do that? Yeah, you should. But is that how you're going to disrupt an industry and build a company with a B instead of an M? No.
Don't call yourself a disruptor by having a better mousetrap. Like that's crazy. The craziest part to me of it all is when you're talking about, I wrote it down here, like pretty much guarantees a lower performance in key areas that are currently valued by the existing clients. That right there blows my freaking mind. So is it the, how do I put it? Like if I'm looking at whatever, is it the future ease and the future use is more exciting than perhaps the perceived value of what's currently existing? You know what I mean? Like, because if you're going in and you're saying, you're going to go through pain almost using this, knowing it's going to be worth it in the long term.
Yep. Okay. You bring up another case, so you got to think bell curve. Okay. So you're looking for early adopters, right? So just to think of the people, there's a really good chance if you're listening to this that you weren't an early adopter of the iPhone, right? Which is totally okay. But as it became more and more and more popular, you jumped on board as the bell curve came up, right? So Netflix, again, you're not I've never researched this for 2 seconds, but I can tell you that the target audience for Netflix when they first came out was not, 60-year-old technologically advanced individual. Not a chance, right? Like it had to be somebody who was really tech advanced, like easy, right? So, and they only went to anyways, that's it. You got to be thinking along those lines. You will have to take a step backwards. Your clients will have to take a step backwards. You need the market to early adopters. You're not marketing to the masses here. So there you go.
So, but with that in mind, Karl, so if we take a look at that, do you think that there's areas that you simply cannot go with lower performance in? Like there has to be, I guess you have to know that about your industry and whatever, right? There's going to be certain things that are just, people are going to be like, yeah, no go. That's a no-fly zone. I'm not touching that.
Not really, because otherwise you never disrupt it. You know what I mean? Like there's no sacred cows. You got to go, and you literally are providing a lower performance in the key area that they're currently buying. Again, use Netflix as your frame. You couldn't, if you wanted to watch Seinfeld, you couldn't do it on Netflix, right? You wanted to watch an episode of Friends, I'd imagine you couldn't. And these are the types of things that you wanted to watch and everybody else wanted to watch, right? But they weren't available. But lo and behold, compounding took effect, and they got a little better, some better shows, better connections, better functionality, more adoption with smart TVs, and here they are. So, no sacred cows, man. No sacred cow.
They're catching up to have all that. And by the way, I think an important point here as well is just to add in, there are disruptors, and then there are others that can definitely win by catching on to what they're doing. I think Netflix, I think Prime, I think Disney Plus, I think all these, and they're doing very, very well on their own. Thank you very much. Now, don't tell me Peacock or some of these other streaming services, like you're a little late to the ball now. At that point, there's got to come a point where it's like you might as well just attach yourself to that rather than trying to start your own new thing. That you're not disrupting anymore. But anyways, this is a rabbit hole that I am somehow, Matt, you got me down this rabbit hole, and I'm trying to find my way out right now. It's crazy.
Well, okay. But Rhoda, what you got to do is so you're going to go disruptive innovation. So then Netflix, but they had to move into maintenance innovation because now they had their thing. They disrupted it. They got it on, the early adopters were there. In order to get the bell curve and continue to swell, they need to make it better, make it faster, get more, popular shows, etc. So again, but you got to understand that there's two types of innovation. I don't know of a third. Like there's disruptive and then there's maintenance. This is it.
So how do you tie that into business company? Like, aside from an actual coach's perspective, do you think a coach can disrupt the coaching industry?
I think that a coach would be crazy not to understand what we're talking about. So when they're helping their client and the client's talking about doing something new, a new product, a new service, a new niche, that they're probably going to have to take a step forward or a step backwards in order to take multiple forwards. Like think BNI. Like if you are a business coach, there's a really good chance that you have a client who is a networking group. And if you don't, you could go get them, right? Easy. And I got to tell you that their number one competitor locally is going to be BNI. And my question is, okay, so let me give you an example. And I've actually thought about this long and hard. BNI, in my opinion, they completely missed the boat because I believe that, in fact, I really believe, like at my core as a first principle, is that the gap between success and failure is education. Like if you're in a limo driving by, and we'll assume you're worth, hundreds and hundreds of million in that limo, and you pass a homeless guy, the gap is education. You just know things that he doesn't know. The end, right? So BNI, I'll let you decide if they do any education. Like you go there, and then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to send the realtor some leads. My question is, does the realtor know what the hell he's doing? And the answer is that 95% of the chance, the answer is no, right? So I think that BNI is missing the boat with education. So if you created a new networking group and it was based as a platform around education, the user experience, because I don't know, do you have the best education? There's a good chance to say that you don't, but you keep at it. In 3 years' time, you could be, the best educator in the entire city, the entire state, maybe nationally, maybe globally. Use our software, cough, cough, cough. But you know what I mean? Like you'd add education, or maybe what you're going to do is create golf network, or maybe what you're going to do is, there's a whole bunch of other things. Again, I could go on and on because this is something I'm passionate about, because I think people want to network, and we talk about this all the time, Road Dog, but they go to the local dealio on Tuesday and hang out with the insurance guy, the real estate guy, and the mortgage guy, all of which are struggling. And I don't know, is that where you want to be? Like personally, I'm going to the yacht club. I'm going to the oil and gas club. I'm going to the, I'm going to the higher end clubs, the golf course, right? I don't even like golf that much, right? But that's where I'm going because I know successful business owners are out there playing golf, and also some lightweights are there, but I get a good chance of getting some decent business owners. So it would be a step backwards to go forward. And let me just, an accounting, but also but I just had an example there of accounting, right? Like if you were going to take your clients, Road Dog, if you were an accountant, right? Phil wrote a book, Accounting 101 for Business Coaches, and you were going to create an app that did live accounting on the spot. Well, I don't need to be there to know that there would be some issues, the end, right? Because you never done an app before, and your clients aren't going to use it the way they're supposed to be using it, right? Just like Netflix was a challenge. But if you stick with it and you accept the fact that the user experience is going to go down, but ultimately you're going to end up with something really special, you could absolutely get there. And I think there's a lot of people listening that are trying to get joint ventures with accountants and trying to get clients, local accounting firm as clients. So there you go. So you could think locally and then think statewide or provincial wide or whatever, depending upon where they are. I think they could make a bit of a dent in thinking disruption. What do you think?
Well, I was just thinking of because I hate BNI as well. It's crazy, right? I really do. Like to me, it was always, you're there because you really need some sales, and it's obvious. And yes, some of BNI chapters are successful. I don't even want to hear about it. Like, I just don't care. Like, I just think they're so few and far between. I think if they spent more time on less of the pitch, and it's just like a cult, but like if they spent more time on relationship. So you talk about going to the golf course and stuff like that, man, you've got to have a runway though. Like you can't be going in there thinking I'm going 100%. In here to close 100%. Within the next 30. Like, no. These relationships take some time to build. So, and strategy.
Strategy, Road Dog. They need and again, the best strategy is to be like in war. Business is war, and the worst strategy in war is to be predictable. If you are predictable, you're getting killed. The end. Right? You're not coming home. So, in business, being unpredictable is a really good idea.
And at the
So
end of the day, it's funny because this morning I just had this really beautiful thought. And the thought simply was, like your next customer is not far away, but are you willing to spend to get them? Right? Like I do it with digital ads every day. You want more
yeah,
customers? It's easy. I just increase your ad spend. Like it's not a big deal. And I know
yeah,
what that looks like. I just know because I do it every single freaking day. So you want more clients? Sure. And we've had to have these conversations with clients. It's like I need 40 calls booked every single day. Great. If our average book call ratio is, it's $150, it's $150. Like
yeah.
that's just the average. There's nothing precise. So anyways, it's just the whole BNI type thing. And I think we'll dive into it a bit next week when we start going into more cold outreach and stuff like that, because there's a big part of me as I look at all of the information that I'm surrounded by. I know exactly the office you're sitting in right now with all the information that's surrounding you. You and I could discard 99.9% of all of it and just be sitting there with our phone and we would do just fine. Thank you very much. Right? Would you not agree?
It's
Like I want to get into
100%.
that too, of just the
Yeah,
overwhelm that we put ourselves under with the amount of the next shiny thing, when it's the
yeah.
old school tech at times. As it's funny, we talk about disruption. I almost feel like the phone is a disruptor these days. Like maybe old school tech could actually be a disruptor to your business by actually producing clients for you. I don't know. Bit
I
of a
100. So just fundamentals, man. Right. So just instead of I used to have a thing I used to put in my emails all the time. You don't have a money problem. You don't have a client problem. You have a refusal to help people before they pay you problem.
Yep.
Right. It's like you just, so don't pick up the phone to get clients. Pick up the phone to help somebody. Don't send an email to get a client. Send an email to help somebody. Don't create a social media post to get a client. Do a social media post to help people. That right there. I mean, this entire podcast, my daily email, as you know, Rodo, the entire company is designed help first. And we just know that we're in 47 countries now, right? Like good things will happen, but you got to lead with value, value, value. So it's fundamentals, man. Don't pick up, don't do all of this stuff to get clients. This is the psychology, the Jedi mind trick, the hack, the mental hack. Do all of that stuff to help somebody, and strategy, and accept that you might have to do it more than once, because then what happens, Road Dog, is they listen to us and then they go and they do a social media post and they don't get a client. They're like, no, it doesn't work. No, do it every day for 30 days and then let me know how it's working. And then do it every day for 90 days and let me know how it's working. And magically what will happen is you will get not only a client, but you will get a compounding effect. You get better. Your information gets better. It's my daily email, right? Like I've said this a lot. I get 100,000 people roughly get my email every single day. I have learned more writing the emails than all of the folks combined that have read it, right? Because I'm doing the work. So you get this compounding effect, right? So forget me, when you go and create value on your Facebook page every day for 30 days, every day for 60 days, every day for 90 days, you get a compounding effect. Like people actually, because you start, one of the compounding effects that you will rise higher in the algorithm because Facebook see that you're very active. So they'll show you more in the news feed. You will get better. Your clients see 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're like, wow, Dave really, Susie really knows her stuff. So the referral doesn't happen the first time they see it. The referral happens the fourth time. Maybe it's the 40th time that they read something to go, wow, I was really onto something, right? So you get this, but Road Dog strategy, man, it's freaking hard work, right? It's like, that's, the beauty. And so then if you're listening to this and you're like, you know what, I'm committed to that. Here's the magic for you is that, what is it? The traffic, I'm going to make a meal of this, but traffic on the extra mile is non-existent because people aren't going there, right? The end. Road Dog, you and I, we talked about it literally yesterday over a beer. So anyway, that's it, man. It's hard, bloody work. And then actually and the predictable bit, like, so when you write a post, okay, so the unpredictable bet, remember war or business is war, and the worst strategy at war is to be predictable. So on your social media post, guess what you don't put? A sales pitch. You know what I mean? It's just like help them. And then it means a little bit more, I think, right? And you'll be able to show me somebody who will vehemently disagree and they can be right. Okay. But I can also be right. And these are my experiences, is that just be, just value. And all of a sudden they'll start like, what's the deal with this guy? Right? Like, why didn't he sell anything? Like, what's going on? And they'll start literally hunting you down. So what did I just say? If you go to your social media, like Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever, and you add value every day for 30 days, at the bottom of every one, you say, hey, call me. Like, heaven forbid, put your bloody phone number on there. Like, please don't do that. And your email, like, it will dilute the impact of the message above, because now the predictability, they know exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it. Right? So anyway, I don't know, Road Dog, what do you think? That help?
Jab, right hook, baby. Right? Gary V 101 right there.
That's it. Shoots.
And what does Gary V say? Well, I saw him in Dallas, I don't even know, like 6-7 years ago. And he said, you know why I give all my stuff away for free? He swears a lot more than that. But you know why I give all my stuff away for free? Because I know that 99% of you won't do a thing with it.
Anything with it. There you go.
So
nice.
Because everybody's so scared, Karl. Like, well, I can't give away my secrets. So I can't give everything away for free online. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
Actually,
the people
Road Dog,
they're going to do it anyways. And the people that aren't, they're going to call you for help.
Yeah, you just reminded me of something I wanted to say. Look, and there's the fact, okay, something else. This is what you remind me of. Okay, if you think that is not strategic for Gary Vaynerchuk to say, I give all of my best stuff away for free because 99% of you aren't going to do anything with it. There's incredible strategy in that, right? So you'll see him say that all the time, right? And it might be that he's moved on to a slight, different message, but he used to say that all the time, right? Brings me to Tony Robbins, right? We love Tony Robbins. Some people love him, some people hate him. I'm totally, whatever, right? I like his stuff. I think he puts out great stuff, right? And by the way, and if you hate Tony Robbins and then you are in coaching and you're not smart enough to go and look at what he's doing and reverse engineer some of his processes and understand some of this, what he would teach you is called seeding. My opinion, you're crazy, but here it is. So he has just released a book recently, Life Force. Okay. And I was talking to a buddy about this, very short time period ago. I want you to find a single interview where he talks about Life Force and he doesn't mention snowboarding, racing down a mountain with a 22-year-old, a young guy, less than half of his age, wiping out and ripping his shoulder to bits. And then he went to doctor after doctor, and it was going to be surgery. You can no longer do what you do. You're going to be, out for, 9 months or whatever it is. I want you to find an interview where he doesn't say that. Okay. Little hint. You won't. Okay. So now I want you to think of this. Why? Okay. We talked about this at different times on the podcast, but 2 words, origin story. Okay. And he says it. Now I want you to think, is that right? And I love Tony Robbins, right? I really want you to think that he really go to doctors upon doctors and then be given the diagnosis that it's surgery. And it was only then that he decided to call one of his best buds, who just happens to be, I can't remember his name, Peter Diamandis, Singularity guy, whoever that is, right? Peter, whatever his name is, right? You could look him up, you'll see it. But you think it was then that he went and called one of his best buds who he's in business with, right? And maybe that's the case. It might be, right? I love Tony Robbins, right? But it's very strategic the way that he tells that story, and it's a very important part of selling the book, selling the process, and most importantly, influencing you. He's not doing it for his own good looks. He's not doing it for his ego. He's doing it so that you whip out your credit card, you buy the damn book, and then all the proceeds go to charity to do. So my question is, if you agree with that, and again, go have a look at an interview where he talks about Life Force and try find one where he doesn't talk about that. You won't find it. my question is this, and this is what I was talking to my buddy the other day. When you sit down and speak to somebody about coaching, what's your horror story, right? What is the story that you tell, all right? And then once you tell it 5, 10, 25 times, what you'll say to yourself is nobody wants to hear the story, but you'd be horrifically wrong because they've never heard the damn story, right? You've told it 25, the magic compounding, after you've told the same story 25, 50, 100, 1,000 times, guess what? You get better and better and better and better at telling it in an emotional way that influences the other individual. This is about influence. Your job as a coach is to influence the other person. If they don't buy coaching from you, you can't influence them. You therefore failed. You don't have coaching call number 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 because the guy never whipped out his credit card, right? So when you tell your story, how do you do it? And what my buddy over a beer said a short time ago, he's like, yeah, but he's in the mortgage game and he, millions of dollars, this, that, and the other. He's like, people don't want to be dealing with somebody. But they want to deal with somebody who's, wickedly successful. And I said, you are 100% correct. But guess what? At the end of the Tony Robbins, where he's talking about the book, he also talks about how he is now able to move, in 3 days, he was moving better than he ever could, right? Like, again, that's the success part of it. So you got to have the horror story. Tony Robbins used to always talk about, he was 11 years old. It was Thanksgiving. They weren't going to starve. That story, right? Where somebody rolled up to the door and handed him food, right? He always told that story. So what am I getting at, Road Dog? What you just mentioned, Gary Vee and him telling that story. And he said it very consistently, very strategic. Again, think of war and predictability, all this sort of thing. When you sit with somebody selling your coaching in that first 15-minute call, when you sit down with them to sell coaching, I would like to know your quote unquote version of Tony Robbins's ripped shoulder or, Thanksgiving when he was 11 years old. And I'm going to say you don't have it and you don't say it and you may have, but you totally should. Right. So anyways, and then if you're like, okay, but Karl, I don't have that horror story. I didn't, have a brain tumor. I didn't have this. I didn't have that. I didn't have somebody save me when I was 11 years old. You don't become a business coach or a coach by accident. I promise you. There's one thing that I know. It's that, right? Like you've decided to take on a career where you help people for a living. It's like you're a clinical psychologist is what we are in many ways. You don't take this on by accident. There's a reason why you got here, how you got here. You've just never really taken the time to connect the dots and go, wow, I never thought of it that way. So what you do is go to your 3 most horrific, the 3 most painful periods of your life. And the reason you became a coach is probably there. So, and then connect the dots, right? And then turn it into a little bit of a story that you can tell in an engaging, emotional, powerful, influential way. And you are going to find that people are going to be 1,000,000 times more interested in referring you, showing up to your seminars. Like again, if I cold call you and I try bring you to my local, like I've run hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of local live events with 1,000,000% certainty. If I spoke to you for like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I'm telling you, I'm dropping my origin story in there in an ethical but very strategic way, because I want you to know that I have been down in the dumps, but I have also elevated myself. There was a process that I followed, and I'm going to show you that process when you come to my event. So Road Dog, you got me on a little bit of rabbit hole there, but I really hope folks will follow that and then create their own version of the ripped shoulder story. Enormous power in that for a business coach looking to crush it and then get engage people.
Have the courage to share it.
Yeah. Actually, that's a Jedi mind trick, right? That's very important. We started with that today, right? Like it's psychology 101. The reason your coaching client doesn't do XYZ is they don't. It's psychology 101. They're a little, I don't know, embarrassed is the right word, right? But they just don't have the confidence to do it. And they think, oh, that's for Road Dog. He's got, decade of experience doing this stuff. And that's not true.
I also want to say this, Karl. When you go to these events, right, there's 3 types of people in the audience. There's the person that's there, that's listening, that is when Tony is doing something with one individual and he's like, wow, that's really going to have a big impact on them. There's the other person that can take any story and relate it to them and be able to adapt and get a lesson, extract a lesson from that story. Then there's the third person. This is something that I think we talked disruption, we talked all this stuff. I think this is a very important part. When you go to a Tony Robbins event, when you go see a presenter, you're not just taking in their information that they're producing. You're watching his tonality, you're watching his presentation, you're watching everything that he's actually putting out there and how he's laying out his content and the way in which he's presenting it to get to, that's his origin story. Okay, cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many different elevations there of thinking that, and I think that that's super important. Just wanted to point that out because if
100 road, I would call that like you're looking for a frame, right? That's what you're looking for. Totally. You need that's why, again, like we have like profit acceleration software. There's 12, it's called Jumpstart 12, the initial part of it. There are 12 key areas at the fundamentals of business. If your client goes and puts these 12 things in place, and I almost guarantee they don't have 11 of the 12, if not all the 12 in place properly. They might think they have an upsell, right? But it's very lame and not working, and they're not tracking it. They don't have any data, et cetera. They're going with their gut, right? Gut stands for gave up thinking. And it's a frame, right? This makes it so much easier. So there you go, Shoots. Yeah, I love it, man. Well done, man. I love it.
All right. So do you want to, have we already closed out? Like, do you want to find what?
Yeah, I think that, no, you know what? That right there, because like you said, I wanted to work that in somehow, some way anyway. So there you go. Happen at the end. But like, go watch Tony Robbins talk about his book, and he's going to no doubt be on all kinds of podcasts, and he's going to be doing interviews and on that, whatever. I'm telling you, I don't know. Maybe I'm horrifically wrong. I don't know. Go watch and you tell me. But whatever he says, whether you can't stand him or you think he's the greatest guy ever, he does very little, that doesn't have a very strategic approach, seeding and all this sort of stuff. Reverse engineer what he's doing. And that's part of what he does. And you should too. And you're probably not. And I hope that if you do, your results will go up.
I love that, dude, right there. Even if you can't stand somebody, success leaves clues, right? Yeah. Take a look at how they're doing it. And they're all doing it. Everybody has their origin story that they're producing and they're putting out into the marketplace. And guess what that's going to do for you? It's going to separate you from your competition. Like, it just is. So, and the best part is, it's real. It's not some BS made up marketing ploy. This is you. So embrace that and put it out into the market. And you know what? Yeah, it could be embarrassing, but there isn't one super successful person that I know that hasn't put themselves out there. And that's the big, people can think they're crazy and everything else. So anyways,
I did, just recently, like random business and life hack. Every once in a while, I just throw a bunch of crap out into, one email. And I can't remember quite what it was, but it's boring people lack critics, right? So there you go. Don't be boring, put yourself out there, right? Don't be shy and you'll get better. You will get better. So read some of my when I read some of my early emails, I literally, I cringe, I'm like, oh my gosh, lame. No frame. If you see my emails now, you're going to see a frame. You see my email. If you go to you just Google it, one coaching thing, number 1, 2, 3, it's got to be out there somewhere. Let's go read them. You'll see that it's got no frame. It's just me literally rambling on. And I got better. I created a frame. I created a frame for myself, and it's so much easier. I can now pump off an email in, a very short period of time. Whereas back in when I started, it was challenging, right? But 500 and 600 days later, it's a little better. So there you go, Shoots. I love it.
Well, it's interesting too, by the way. If somebody just did that, looked at your framework and how you're doing your emails, like if you're just reading the emails to read the emails, yes, there's gold and all that in there. But go beyond that and take a look at the way that Karl structures his emails and everything else. Copy that. Build your own frame and roll with that. Because if it's working, it's working, right? Take a look at all of the emails that you get. There's likely patterns. Once you start seeing frames and patterns and things, you're going to see it in business after business after business. Like, it's just that
disruptive. Okay, Rhoda, we're kind of going along here, but I love it because you said it. Like I don't know what you said, but you said you wrote that down. Like, okay, if your client, you are going to disrupt an industry. If anybody's going to disrupt an industry, understand this, right? Without metaverse right now, right? The existing, what do we call it? Like the user experience, the important part, the necessary part of the user experience is going to go down in order for the disruption to take over and eventually elevate and crush the old model. Again, Netflix is your example. It's going to be where Uber. Okay, so Uber, what the challenge that Uber had is that there wasn't many of them, right? So you know what I mean? You'd call an Uber, but they weren't even in the city. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, this is a bad user experience, but guess what? And taxis were because they've been around for 100 years. Well, how's it going? Right? We all know how the story, and how's the story going to end? And taxis are going to make the adjustment, which they kind of have, kind of haven't. Uber's taken over, right? So there you go, Shoots. I love it. That's a frame. You're going to have to go backwards to go forwards.
We better wrap this up, bud. We got to save some material, and we got to save something to talk about this week when we go for another year. So there you go. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning into another long episode of Business Coaching Secrets with the man on top of the hill, King Karl. If you're not on the inside and getting access to the pre-show, or you aren't getting those daily emails that Karl was talking about, or maybe you just want some more information on the profit acceleration software, the group coaching software, everything else that this crazy lunatic is up to, go to focus.com and subscribe today. And of course, if you enjoyed the podcast, please share with a fellow coach or someone that you think might make a great coach. And of course, Tom Brady and Tony Robbins fans are always welcome as well. And of course, we'd really appreciate if you'd rate the episode, as we know that all the streaming services get a heavy amount of weight towards reviews. So if you could do that, that would be fantastic. And that is it for another week. And again, as I always like to end, my favorite quote from Tony Robbins: progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.